My name is Philippe Lucas, and I'm Vice President of Global Patient Research and Access at Tilray. Well, I've been a cannabis researcher now for about 15 years. I've been involved in medical cannabis for about 20 years, and here I've been invited specifically to be on a panel with my friend and colleague Amanda Ryman to talk about cannabis as a substitute for opioids, which is certainly one of my focus areas of the research that I've been doing. So today I'm going to be sharing some new research on that from patient surveys and longitudinal studies I've been doing in Canada. Last year in January, I did the largest survey of Canadian patients to date, and I'll be sharing some of the data from that showing that about 70% of patients in Canada substitute cannabis for prescription drugs, and about 35% of that substitution is for opioids. And I've also got the largest longitudinal tracking of national Canadian patients going on right now. So I'm following up with over 1,300 patients in Canada over a 12-month period of time. And what we're seeing with that group is that from baseline to 6 months, we're seeing a 74% reduction in opioid use overall for the patients who started out using opioids as well. So basically what we're seeing is that cannabis can play a real role as a potential harm reduction measure to the opioid overdose crisis, and as well as a potential exit drug to addiction. Canada has had a legal federal medical cannabis program since 2001, and the current federal government, the Liberals, have put in place a bill called C-45 to legalize the adult recreational use. It's going through its legislative process right now, and so it's in the Senate. It's in the Canadian Senate, and we would expect legalization to be fully in place in fall of this year. So probably September or October. We're really excited about this, and if it wasn't for Oregon, Washington State, Colorado taking the lead on this, I don't think our government ever would have taken these steps, so we're grateful. Yeah, I think the major difference is the challenges and opportunities presented by having a federally legal cannabis program in Canada. So we've had a federally legal medical cannabis program for 16 years. It was really running very poorly until about the last 4 years when the federal government decided to decentralize it and license a lot of large-scale producers. Before that, we had one producer producing a single strain for 10 years, and that really wasn't meeting the needs of patients. But now that it is decentralized, we have large-scale producers. Because it's federally legal, cannabis produced in Nanaimo, BC, where I work, is available in 10 different countries on 5 different continents. And so it's given us a great advantage of being able to export cannabis. Canadian cannabis right now is the de facto research medical grade cannabis being used all over the world for those countries who aren't producing their own cannabis but want access, want their patients to have access. In the States, on the other hand, you have these really robust, really amazing state-run systems, but until the federal government recognizes the legal status of cannabis, either, be it medical or recreational, you guys are stuck in a position where you can't export some of your great know-how, some of your great product internationally. So I think that's the biggest difference between what's going on in Canada and the US. We'll see how that develops over the next few years. I think that it's about time right now, obviously in the US, for the federal government to start recognizing the medical utility of cannabis. In Canada, as I say, we've had this federal program for 16 years. I just got back from Germany, where they've instituted a federal medical cannabis program and they actually do full coverage for medical cannabis patients through their insurers as well. So the US, that has, for all intents and purposes, should have this huge lead and opportunity as a world leader in terms of cannabis breeding, production, etc., is now following well behind countries like Canada and other jurisdictions that have seen the wisdom of controlling, regulating, taxing medical cannabis at the federal level. And so I think that if there's a message that I'd want to pass on is we followed your lead for so long in Canada. As I said, if it wasn't for states moving ahead with legalization, we wouldn't have done this at the federal level. And I really hope that with countries in South Central America, as well as Canada now, all around the U.S., legalizing the adult recreational use of cannabis, that the U.S. will soon follow suit at the federal level.